The USS Vengeance dropped out of quantum-fold space at the edge of the New Dublin system. Captain Morrison stared at the main screen in horror. Where a thriving human colony should have been, only burning wreckage remained floating in space. "My God," whispered Ambassador Rodriguez. "The entire orbital station is gone." Lieutenant Brooks ran scans of the debris field. "Captain, I am detecting traces of Zephyrian plasma weapons. The attack happened less than 6 hours ago." His voice shook as he continued reading the data. "Sir, there are no life signs. None at all." Commander Phillips gripped her weapons console. "Captain, I am reading massive energy signatures from the planet's surface. It looks like they used orbital bombardment weapons." Morrison closed his eyes for a moment, thinking of the 12,000 people who had lived here. Families, children, workers who had come to build a new life among the stars. All gone. "Take us closer to the planet," he ordered. "I want to see what they did." The USS Vengeance moved through the debris field like a ghost ship. Pieces of destroyed. Human vessels bounced off their shields. Morrison could see personal belongings floating in space, a child's toy, family photos, the remains of lives cut short. The planet appeared on screen, and Morrison felt sick. The green continents he remembered from the colony reports were now black and smoking. The Zephyrians had burned everything. Cities, farms, forests. Nothing remained alive. "Captain, incoming transmission," reported the communications officer. "It is from the New Austin colony." "Put it through." A young woman appeared on screen, her face streaked with tears. "This is Mayor Sarah Blake of New Austin colony. Please, whoever receives this message, we need help. Zephyrian ships are approaching our system. We have 40,000 people here, including 8,000 children. We have no military defenses. The transmission cut to static. Brooks, how long to reach New Austin?" Morrison demanded. 37 minutes at maximum quantum fold speed, Captain. Do it, now." As the ship prepared to jump, Major Hayes pulled up tactical data on his screen. "Captain, I am detecting a large Zephyrian fleet in the New Austin system. At least 50 ships, including heavy battle cruisers." "How many?" Morrison asked. 51 ships, sir. They are in attack formation around the planet." Commander Phillips looked up from her weapons station. "Captain, that is 51 ships against 1. Even with our advanced weapons, those are not good odds." Morrison stood up from his command chair. "Those are 40,000 human lives down there. We did not come this far to abandon them now." He looked at each of his officers. "Are we ready for combat?" "All weapon systems are charged and ready," Phillips reported. "Hellfire arrays are online. Quantum torpedoes are loaded. Nanoswarm missiles are armed. Shields and armor at maximum strength," Brooks added. "The quantum fold drive can give us tactical advantages with micro jumps during combat." "Tactical analysis complete," Hayes said. "I recommend we use hit-and-run attacks. Jump in, destroy as many ships as possible, then jump out before they can focus their fire on us." "No," Morrison said firmly. "We are not running. Those are our people down there. We make our stand here." Ambassador Rodriguez stepped forward. "Captain, perhaps we could try to negotiate." "Ambassador, look at that screen. Look at what they did to New Dublin. The Zephyrians do not want to negotiate. They want to exterminate us." Morrison's voice was steel. "They are about to learn that humans fight back." The USS Vengeance jumped to the New Austin system, space around them filled with Zephyrian warships. The alien vessels were dark green with sharp edges, looking like giant insects floating in space. Each one bristled with weapons and carried enough firepower to destroy a city. "Enemy fleet detected," Hayes reported. "They are moving to surround us." On the largest Zephyrian ship, War Commander Zakth watched the human vessel appear on his screens. "One ship," he clicked in amusement. "The humans send one ship against our entire fleet. Their stupidity knows no bounds." His weapons officer approached. "War Commander, should we destroy them quickly?" No, let them suffer first. Show them how hopeless their situation is. Then we will tear their ship apart piece by piece. Zakth opened a communication channel to the human ship. Human vessel, this is War Commander Zakth of the Zephyrian. Imperial Fleet, you are outnumbered 51-1. Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick. Morrison activated the return channel. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the USS Vengeance. You have attacked and murdered innocent civilians. Leave this system immediately or face the consequences. Zakth's laughter echoed across the channel. Consequences? What can one small ship do against the might of the Zephyrian Empire? You are about to find out, Morrison replied, and closed the channel. He turned to his crew. All stations, prepare for combat. Phillips, target their command ship first. Aye, Captain. Hellfire arrays locked on target. The Zephyrian fleet began moving into attack position, their plasma cannons charged with green energy, ready to reduce the human ship to scrap metal. Zakth was confident this would be over quickly. Fire, Morrison ordered. The USS Vengeance unleashed hell. The Hellfire arrays channeled the ship's entire power grid through crystal focusing chambers, creating beams of pure energy that could cut through anything. The first salvo struck 12 Zephyrian ships simultaneously. The alien vessels simply vanished. They did not explode or break apart. They were completely destroyed in an instant, leaving only expanding clouds of superheated plasma. Zakth stared at his tactical display in shock. 12 of his ships had just been erased from existence. Impossible, he whispered. Sir, the human weapon systems are beyond anything we have seen, his tactical officer reported. They are channeling stellar-level energy through some kind of focusing system. All ships, concentrate fire on the human vessel, Zakth ordered. Destroy it now. Green plasma bolts filled space as the Zephyrian fleet opened fire. The USS Vengeance's shields flared as they absorbed the incoming energy. But instead of weakening, the shields seemed to grow stronger. Captain, our shields are converting their plasma energy into power for our weapons, Brooks reported with excitement. The more they shoot at us, the stronger we become. Phillips targeted another group of enemy ships. Quantum torpedoes away! The torpedoes phased through space itself, passing through the Zephyrian shields like they did not exist. They materialized inside the enemy ships and detonated, tearing the vessels apart from within. 8 more Zephyrian ships died in brilliant explosions. Nanoswarm missiles launching, Phillips continued. Thousands of tiny missiles spread out from the USS Vengeance like a deadly cloud. They adapted to Zephyrian countermeasures in real time, finding weak points in armor and shields. Each missile was small, but together they overwhelmed the alien defenses. 6 more ships fell to the swarm attack. In less than 3 minutes, the USS Vengeance had destroyed 26 enemy vessels. The remaining Zephyrian ships began to retreat. In panic. War Commander, we must withdraw, his tactical officer pleaded. That ship is not natural. It fights like a force of nature itself. But Zakth was too proud to retreat. Call for reinforcements. Send word to the High Command. We need the entire Third Fleet here immediately. Morrison watched the enemy ships pulling back. They are calling for help. This is just the beginning. The deadliest human warship had shown its true power, and the galaxy would never be the same. The USS Vengeance dropped out of quantum-fold space near the Kepler station with barely a ripple. Captain Morrison watched the massive trading post grow larger on the main screen. The station looked like a giant wheel spinning slowly against the stars, with docking arms reaching out like metal tentacles. Impressive arrival, Captain, came a voice from the communications panel. Kepler Station Control to USS Vengeance. You are cleared for docking at Bay 7. Morrison nodded to his communications officer. Thank you, Control. Requesting permission for diplomatic personnel to come aboard. Permission granted. Ambassador Rodriguez is waiting in the diplomatic quarters. Lieutenant Brooks guided the ship toward the docking bay with expert precision. The USS Vengeance moved like a hunting shark, silent and deadly. Other ships in the area gave them plenty of space. Word had already spread about the new human warship. "Captain, I am reading some interesting energy signatures from the other ships," Commander Phillips reported from her weapons station. "Several of them are carrying modified plasma weapons. The energy patterns do not match any known human designs." Morrison frowned. "Keep monitoring those ships. Something feels wrong here." The docking process completed smoothly, and within an hour, Ambassador Helen Rodriguez stepped onto the bridge. She was a tall woman with silver hair and sharp gray eyes that missed nothing. Her diplomatic uniform was simple but elegant, designed to show respect without displaying weakness. "Captain Morrison, thank you for the escort," she said, shaking his hand firmly. "I hope this mission will help prevent any misunderstandings with our Zephyrian neighbors." "That is our hope as well, Ambassador," Morrison replied. "What can you tell us about the current situation?" Rodriguez activated a portable holographic display. A map of the local sector appeared, showing human colonies as blue dots and Zephyrian territory as red zones. Several blue dots were flashing, with warning signals. "3 human colonies have gone silent in the past week," she explained. "New Dublin, Port Adams, and the mining station at Crater Bay. We lost contact with all of them within hours of each other." Major Hayes leaned forward from his tactical station. "That sounds like a coordinated attack, Ambassador. Do we have any evidence of Zephyrian involvement?" "We have the last transmission from New Dublin Colony." Rodriguez touched a control on her display. "The quality is poor, but you can see what happened." The hologram changed to show a grainy video feed from a colony security camera. Morrison watched as human civilians ran through the streets, while plasma bolts rained down from the sky. In the background, he could see the distinctive shape of Zephyrian battlecruisers. "My God!" whispered Lieutenant Brooks. "They are attacking civilians." The video continued, showing Zephyrian ground troops landing in the colony center. Their tall, insect-like forms moved with mechanical precision as they destroyed buildings and captured humans. The transmission ended abruptly when a plasma bolt hit the camera. "How many people lived in these colonies?" Morrison asked quietly. "New Dublin had 12,000 residents. Port Adams had 8,000. Crater Bay had about 3,000. Miners and their families." Rodriguez closed the display. "Captain, these were peaceful settlements. They had no military defenses." Commander Phillips clenched her fists. "Captain, request permission to investigate these colonies." "Our orders are to escort the ambassador to the peace talks," Morrison replied, but his voice showed his inner conflict. "The peace talks may be pointless if the Zephyrians are already attacking our people," Major Hayes observed. "They might be using the talks as a distraction while they test our defenses." Morrison walked to the main view screen and stared out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human colonies were under attack. His ship carried enough firepower to level planets, but his orders were clear. Protect the ambassador. Maintain diplomatic. Protocol. "Ambassador, what is your recommendation?" he asked. "I believe we should investigate at least one of the silent colonies," Rodriguez said after a moment. "If we can gather evidence of Zephyrian aggression, it will strengthen our position in the talks." Before Morrison could respond, the ship's communication system activated. "Captain, we are receiving a priority message from Earth Command," reported the communications officer. "Put it through." General Collins appeared on the main screen, his face grim. "Captain Morrison, we have a situation. Long-range sensors have detected a large Zephyrian fleet moving toward the border. At least 50 ships, including their newest battlecruisers." "Sir, are they heading for Earth?" Morrison asked. "No, Captain. They appear to be moving toward the New Austin colony. That settlement has 40,000 people, including many children." Collins paused. "Captain, I am modifying your orders. The USS Vengeance is authorized to take any action necessary to protect human lives." Morrison felt relief flood through him. "Understood, sir. We will investigate the silent colonies and then proceed to New Austin." Be careful, Captain. Intelligence suggests the Zephyrians have developed new weapons specifically designed to fight human ships. We do not know what you might be facing. The transmission ended, and Morrison turned to his crew. You heard the General. Brooks, set. Course for New Dublin Colony, maximum speed. Aye, Captain. Quantum fold drive charging. As the USS Vengeance prepared to jump to the attacked colony, Morrison called his senior officers together. Phillips, I want all weapon systems ready for combat. Hayes, analyze everything we know about Zephyrian tactics. Brooks, make sure our shields and armor are at full strength. Captain, what about the peace talks? Ambassador Rodriguez asked. Ambassador, I suspect those talks were never meant to succeed. The Zephyrians are testing us, seeing how we respond to attacks on our civilians. Morrison's green eyes hardened. They are about to learn that humans do not abandon their own. Lieutenant Brooks completed the calculations for their jump. Captain, quantum full drive ready. We can reach New Dublin in 30 minutes. Make it so. Space folded around the USS Vengeance once again. The ship disappeared from the Kepler station sensors, leaving only empty space where the deadliest human warship had been moments before. In the Zephyrian command ship hidden behind the gas giant Kronos, War Commander Zakth received reports from his scouts. The human vessel had left the neutral station and was heading toward one of the attacked colonies. Excellent, he clicked in the Zephyrian language. The humans are predictable. They cannot resist trying to save their weak civilians. His tactical officer approached with new data. War Commander, our spies report that the human ship carries experimental weapons. Should we be concerned? Zakth laughed, a sound like breaking glass. One ship against our entire fleet? Let them come. We will crush this human toy and show the galaxy that the Zephyrian Empire fears nothing. He did not know that the USS Vengeance carried weapons that could rewrite the rules of space combat. He did not know that Captain Morrison and his crew were about to change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The deadliest human warship was heading toward its first real battle, and the Zephyrians were waiting. The alarm bells rang through the Coalition Command Center on Proxima Station. Admiral Lisa Carter stood before the massive view screen, watching red warning lights flash across the star map. Her blue eyes narrowed as she read the intelligence. Report for the third time. Are you sure about this data? She asked her aide, Lieutenant Ben Murphy. Yes, Admiral. Our spies confirm it. The humans have built something new, something big. Murphy handed her a data pad with shaking hands. They call it the USS Vengeance. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. In her 20 years of service with the Galactic Coalition, she had never seen a ship classification like this one. The report marked it as Planet Killer Class, with weapons that broke every known law of physics. How is this possible? She whispered. Humans joined the galactic community only 50 years ago. They were still using chemical rockets when we first met them. Intelligence says they advance faster than any species we have ever seen. What takes us centuries, they do in decades. Murphy pulled up another screen. Look at this, Admiral. 5 years ago, they had basic laser weapons. Now they have something called quantum fold technology. Lisa stared at the technical drawings on the screen. The USS Vengeance looked like a massive black dagger floating in space. It was 3 kilometers long and covered in weapons she could not identify. The ship's armor appeared to be made of some unknown metal that seemed to absorb light. Get me a direct line to the Council, she ordered. They need to see this immediately. Meanwhile, on Earth, General Pete Collins walked through the corridors of the Pentagon. His worn combat boots echoed against the metal floors as he made his way to the briefing room. The weight of classified documents in his briefcase reminded him of the serious nature of today's meeting. He pushed open the heavy doors to find Captain Jake Morrison already waiting. The young captain stood at attention, his crisp uniform displaying medals from the Titan campaign and the Mars Defense. At 35, Morrison was the youngest captain in the Earth Defense Force, but his record spoke for itself. At ease, Captain, Collins said, taking his seat at the head of the table. "We have a situation." Morrison relaxed slightly, but remained alert. His green eyes focused on the general with the intensity that had made him famous during the asteroid mining conflicts. "Sir, is this about the USS Vengeance?" Morrison asked. "It is. You and your crew will be taking her on her first official mission." Collins activated the holographic display in the center of the table. A three-dimensional map of local space appeared, showing trade routes and border systems. "The Zephyrian Empire has been making noise near our outer colonies. Nothing aggressive yet, but our diplomats are nervous." Morrison studied the map carefully. The Zephyrian border was marked in red, a jagged line that separated human space from one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy. The Zephyrians were known for their brutal efficiency and had conquered 12 species in the past 2 centuries. "What exactly is our mission, sir?" Morrison asked. "Officially, you will escort Ambassador Helen Rodriguez to the Kepler station for peace talks. Unofficially," Collins paused, meeting Morrison's eyes, "you will remind everyone in that sector that Earth is not to be taken lightly." Morrison nodded slowly. He had heard rumors about the USS Vengeance for months. The ship was built in the hidden shipyards of Europa, using technology that most humans did not even know existed. The crew called it the Ghost Ship because it could disappear from sensors at will. "Who is my crew for this mission?" Morrison asked. "Your usual team, plus some specialists. Commander Amy Phillips will handle weapons systems. You know her work with the plasma cannons during the Saturn defense." Collins brought up personnel files on the display. "Lieutenant Carl Brooks is your chief engineer. He helped design the ship's power systems. And Major Ryan Hayes will be your tactical officer. He has experience fighting the Draxan Empire." Morrison recognized all the names. Phillips was known throughout the fleet for her deadly accuracy with ship weapons. Brooks was a genius who could make any machine work beyond its limits. Hayes had the tactical mind of a chess master and the reflexes of a fighter pilot. "When do we leave?" Morrison asked. "Tomorrow at 0800 hours. The USS Vengeance is waiting at Luna Station." Collins stood up and walked to the window overlooking the Earth. "Captain, I need you to understand something. This ship is not like anything we have built before. It carries enough firepower to level a planet. Use it wisely." Morrison felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "Yes, sir. We will not let you down." The next morning, Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Vengeance for the first time. The command center was a work of art and engineering. Smooth black surfaces reflected the soft blue glow of holographic displays. The captain's chair sat in the center, surrounded by stations for his officers. Commander Phillips approached from the weapons console. Her red hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her brown eyes showed the focus of a predator. "Captain, all weapon systems are online and ready. I have never seen anything like these guns before." "What do we have?" Morrison asked, settling into his command chair. "The main weapons are called Hellfire arrays. They channel our entire power grid through crystal focusing chambers. The energy output is beyond anything in our previous ships." Phillips smiled grimly. "The secondary weapons include quantum torpedoes and nano-swarm missiles. Both are still classified experimental." Lieutenant Brooks joined them from the engineering station. His young face showed excitement and nervousness in equal measure. "Captain, the quantum fold drive is ready for testing. We can reach the Kepler station in 6 hours instead of 3 days." Morrison nodded to his crew. These were the best officers in the Earth Defense Force, hand-picked for this mission. "All stations, prepare for departure. Take us out, Brooks." The USS Vengeance moved away from Luna Station like a silent shadow. The ship's experimental engines produced no visible exhaust, giving it a ghostly appearance against the star field. As they passed Mars, Morrison watched other human ships move aside to give them a clear path. "Quantum fold drive ready, Captain," Brooks reported. "Engage!" Morrison ordered. Space seemed to fold around them like origami. Stars stretched into lines of light, and the USS Vengeance disappeared from normal space. In the engine room, Brooks monitored power levels that would have destroyed any other ship. On the weapons deck, Phillips ran final checks on systems that could crack moons. None of them knew that across the galaxy, Zephyrian scouts were already moving toward human space. War Commander Zaxth had received his orders from the High Command. Test the humans. Find their weaknesses. Prepare for conquest. The deadliest human warship was heading toward its destiny, carrying a crew that would soon become legends throughout the galaxy. The siege of Kethamora began on a Tuesday morning when 700,000 human warships emerged from hyperspace around the Zephyrian homeworld. Admiral Thekvar watched from his command ship as the sky above his planet filled with enemy vessels until the surface was locked in permanent shadow. He had fought in dozens of battles during his long career, but he had never seen anything that compared to the metal storm surrounding his world. The Zephyrian homeworld was protected by orbital fortresses that had never been breached in their 3,000-year history. Massive structures the size of small moons, each one mounting energy shields that could deflect entire fleets and weapons arrays that could track targets across light years. The greatest military minds in Zephyrian history had designed these defenses to be absolutely impregnable. Captain Tony Evans led the first assault wave of 100,000 ships against the orbital defenses. His fleet moved in perfect formation, quantum lance batteries charging as they approached the fortress ring that protected Kethamora. The Zephyrian defenders opened fire with everything they had, energy beams and missile swarms that had destroyed countless enemy fleets over the centuries. The human ships absorbed the incoming fire with their quantum field shields, storing the energy and preparing to redirect it back at their attackers. What should have been a devastating defensive barrage became fuel for the human weapon systems. "All units, this is Thunder Actual," Tony broadcast to his fleet. "Execute bombardment pattern Delta. Primary targets are the shield generators. Show them what happens when you store 3,000 years of overconfidence in one place." The UTS Retribution, Admiral Knight's flagship, moved into position at the center of the human formation. The massive Titan-class battleship was larger than most Zephyrian cities, its hull bristling with weapons that pushed the boundaries of physical law. Dr. Chen's quantum lance batteries had been installed along its entire length, creating a weapon system that could punch through planetary crust. "Admiral, all batteries report ready," Captain Miller announced from the bridge of the Retribution. "Target locks acquired on the primary fortress. We have clear firing solutions on all defensive installations." Admiral Knight studied the tactical displays showing the Zephyrian positions. 3,000 years of military tradition and technological development, all focused on protecting this one world. It would be gone in a matter of hours. "Fire all batteries. Show the galaxy what happens when you make war on human families." There, quantum lance arrays of the human fleet fired simultaneously, creating energy beams that tore through space itself. The orbital fortresses that had protected Kethamora for millennia simply ceased to exist, their matter converted to pure energy, in displays visible from neighboring star systems. Shield generators that had never failed in 3,000 years of service collapsed under forces they had never been designed to resist. Dr. Chen's experimental singularity bombs proved their effectiveness against the remaining defensive positions. Temporary black holes appeared throughout the orbital defense grid, crushing fortress after fortress into gravitational anomalies that would persist for centuries. The sky above Kethamora cleared as humanity eliminated every trace of Zephyrian military presence in the system. Admiral Thekvar watched the destruction of his world's defenses from the bridge of his command ship, the last major Zephyrian vessel, still capable of combat. His fleet of 8,000 ships had been reduced to less than 50 vessels hiding in the shadow of the planet's largest moon. The humans had not even bothered to hunt down the survivors. They were focused on a larger objective. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human flagship. his communications officer reported, his voice barely above a whisper. Admiral Knight's image appeared on the main display, his uniform bearing the insignia of Supreme Fleet Commander. Behind him, the bridge of the Retribution hummed with activity as human officers coordinated the final phase of their operation. Admiral Thekvar, I am Admiral Christopher Knight of the Terran Defense Forces. Your orbital defenses have been eliminated. Your fleet has been destroyed. Your ability to threaten human civilians has been permanently removed. But we are not finished. Thekvar felt his heart sink as he realized what the human commander was telling him. The destruction of the military installations had only been the beginning. The humans had come to eliminate the Zephyrian civilization entirely. People of Kethmora, Admiral Knight continued, his voice being broadcast on every frequency to every receiver on the planet below. You have 24 hours to evacuate your world. After that time, this planet will be rendered uninhabitable. Your government chose to make war on humanity by targeting our civilians. Now you face the consequences of that choice. The evacuation was chaos beyond description. 50 million Zephyrians tried to flee their homeworld in whatever ships they could find. Cargo haulers, passenger liners, even small personal craft launched from every spaceport on the planet, streaming away from their dying world in desperate flight. Captain Barbara Lewis commanded the UTS Nemesis as it monitored the evacuation process. Her orders were to ensure that no military personnel or government officials escaped, but civilian refugees were allowed to depart freely. Humanity had not come to commit genocide against the Zephyrian people. They had come to eliminate the Zephyrian state. Ma'am, we're detecting government transport ships trying to leave the capital city, her tactical officer reported. The same officials who authorized the attack on New Haven are attempting to escape. Captain Lewis studied the sensor readings showing the fleeing ships. These were the individuals who had decided that human civilians were acceptable targets. Their fate had been decided the moment they made that choice. Negative on departure clearance for government vessels. Deploy intercept squadrons and eliminate all official transport craft. The people responsible for New Haven do not leave this system alive. The Zephyrian leadership died in the cold vacuum of space, their ships destroyed by human fighters that had been waiting for exactly this moment. The civilian evacuation continued, but those who had ordered the massacre would face justice among the stars. 24 hours after the ultimatum was delivered, Admiral Knight gave the final order. Captain Barbara Lewis received the firing authorization. At exactly 0800 Terran Standard Time, transmitted simultaneously to every ship in the human fleet. All units, this is Nemesis Actual. Execute final bombardment. Target is the planetary surface. Complete sterilization authorized. The combined firepower of 700,000 human warships focused on a single target. The planet that had been the center of Zephyrian civilization for 3 millennia cracked like an egg under the assault. Its molten core erupted into space in a display that could be seen from light years away. The homeworld of the species that had dared to attack human civilians became an expanding cloud of superheated debris. Admiral Knight stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the destruction of Kethmora through the massive viewports that lined the command deck. Behind him, his staff coordinated the final phases of Operation Nemesis. 17 star systems cleansed of Zephyrian military presence. Hundreds of worlds stripped of their ability to threaten human colonies. A civilization that had existed for thousands of years, reduced to scattered refugees with no hope of rebuilding their former power. Admiral, we're receiving communications from across the galaxy, his communications officer reported. The Altarian Federation, the Rigel Confederacy, the Centauri Republic. Every major power wants to establish diplomatic relations with humanity immediately. Admiral Knight nodded grimly. The galaxy had learned a fundamental truth about his species today. Humans were capable of unimaginable kindness and terrible wrath in equal measure. More importantly, they never forgot an injury to their own. Open, a channel to all galactic governments. he ordered. Let them hear this message clearly. His words would be remembered for centuries throughout known space, spoken by the commander of the largest military force in galactic history as he stood amid the ruins of a civilization that had dared to attack innocent human families. Let this serve as a reminder to every species that considers humanity an easy target. We are not conquerors, but we will not tolerate the massacre of our people. The Zephyrian Collective chose to make war on civilians. They paid the price for that choice. Remember this lesson well. The 700,000 ships of Operation Nemesis began their journey home, having delivered the most decisive military campaign in galactic history. The Zephyrian War was over, but its lessons would echo through the stars for generations to come. Humanity had revealed its true nature to the galaxy, and no species would ever again see them as weak or defenseless. Captain Ryan Foster, the merchant, who had witnessed the destruction of New Haven, stood on the observation deck of his new ship as the human fleet prepared to depart Zephyrian space. The circle was complete. Justice had been delivered with overwhelming force, and the galaxy would remember what happened when you made war on human civilians. The age of human dominance among the stars had begun, written in fire across the void, by 700,000 ships carrying humanity's wrath. The Zephyrian border patrol ship Kethaval was conducting a routine scan of the outer system when reality seemed to break apart around them. Space itself rippled and tore as massive shapes began emerging from hyperspace. Captain Veltar had served on border duty for 15 years and had never seen anything like the sight that filled his viewports. Ships. Thousands upon thousands of ships, each one larger and more heavily armed than anything in the Zephyrian fleet. They kept coming, a metal storm that blotted out the stars themselves. His tactical officer tried to count them, but gave up when the number reached 10,000 and the human fleet was still emerging from hyperspace. "Sir, should we send a warning to Fleet Command?" his communications officer asked, his voice shaking with fear. Captain Veltar stared at the impossible sight before him. "Send everything we have. Tell them the humans are coming, and they brought the entire galaxy with them." The transmission never reached Zephyrian Command. Captain Janet Miller's fast attack squadron eliminated the border patrol in seconds, their quantum lance batteries turning the enemy ship into expanding plasma before its crew could fully comprehend what was happening. Admiral Thekvar was reviewing supply reports in his command ship near the Zephyrian homeworld when the first fragmentary reports began reaching him, border posts going silent, massive energy signatures detected throughout Zephyrian space. Ships described as beyond counting moving through his territory like they owned it. "Sir, we're receiving emergency transmissions from the Outer Rim sectors," his communications officer reported. "Multiple commanders are reporting human fleet movements of unprecedented size." Admiral Thekvar studied the tactical displays, watching. Red symbols marking lost contact with his border defenses appear one after another. In his long career, he had never seen an enemy move with such overwhelming force. The humans were not probing or testing his defenses. They were simply erasing them. "How many ships are we detecting?" he demanded. "Sir, the reports are conflicting. Some commanders claim to have seen fleets of 50,000 vessels before their transmissions ended. Others report even larger numbers." Admiral Thekvar felt cold fear settle in his stomach. The humans he had dismissed as weak frontier colonists had somehow assembled a force larger than his entire civilization could field. The attack on New Haven had awakened something terrible, and now it was coming for him. Captain Steve Johnson commanded the heavy cruiser UTS Thunder as it led the first assault wave against the fortress world of Vexcar. The planet was supposed to be impregnable, protected by orbital defense platforms that had never been breached in their 1,000-year history. Its garrison of 50,000 Zephyrian Marines had repelled every attack ever mounted against them. None of that mattered when 50,000 human ships arrived in the system at once. "All units, this is Thunder Actual," Steve broadcast to his fleet. "Execute Attack Plan Alpha. Primary targets are the orbital defense platforms. Secondary targets are military installations on the planetary surface. No Zephyrian military assets are to survive this engagement. The battle for Vexcar became the template for human military doctrine in the war. Overwhelming force applied with surgical precision. The orbital defenses that had protected the planet for centuries were swept away in the first hour of combat. The quantum lance batteries of the human fleet punched through energy shields like they were made of paper. Admiral Rodriguez's fleet. Carriers launched wave after wave of fighter craft that swarmed over the remaining Zephyrian positions. Each human fighter was equipped with targeting systems that could track individual enemy soldiers from orbit and weapons that could level city blocks with single shots. On the planet's surface, General Nancy Clark's Marine Expeditionary Force demonstrated what human ground combat doctrine looked like when restraint was removed. The Zephyrian defenders fought with desperate courage, but they were facing an enemy that had come to make an example, not to conquer territory. General, the enemy garrison has retreated to the mountain fortress complex, her tactical officer reported. They are requesting surrender terms. General Clark studied the tactical display showing the Zephyrian positions. These were the same aliens who had murdered 2.3 million civilians at New Haven without offering any chance of surrender. Her orders were clear, and her conscience was undisturbed. Negative on surrender terms. Deploy the Singularity. Charges and level the entire mountain range. No Zephyrian military personnel are to survive. The mountain fortress that had stood for 800 years vanished in a controlled gravitational collapse that left a crater visible from orbit. The message was clear to any Zephyrian who might be watching. Humanity had not come to accept, surrender, or negotiate terms. They had come to eliminate the Zephyrian military as a fighting force. The systematic destruction of Vexcar took 72 hours. When it was complete, no military installation remained functional. No starport could launch ships. No communication array could send messages. The planet's ability to contribute to the Zephyrian war effort had been permanently removed. But Admiral Knight's fleet was just getting started. Intelligence reports showed 17 Zephyrian systems, each one containing military bases, shipyards, and government facilities that had supported the decision to attack New Haven. All of them were marked for elimination. The siege of the industrial world of Mordak lasted 6 hours. The Zephyrians had built their largest shipyard there, a facility capable of producing 100 vessels per year. Captain Tony Evans led the assault with 20,000 ships equipped with the new matter conversion torpedoes. The entire orbital infrastructure was turned into pure energy in a display that could be seen from neighboring star systems. Captain Barbara Lewis commanded a squadron of heavy destroyers during the attack on the Zephyrian research station at Kelnath. The facility had been developing new weapons for the Zephyrian fleet, technologies that might have threatened human colonies in the future. Her orders were to ensure that research never continued. "Ma'am, we're detecting civilian personnel at the research facility," her tactical officer reported. "Scientists and their families, approximately 3,000 individuals." Captain Lewis remembered the recordings from New Haven, where Zephyrian forces had deliberately targeted civilian evacuation ships. The aliens had established the rules of engagement when they chose to make war on innocent families. Execute the bombardment as planned. The Zephyrians demonstrated their opinion of civilian immunity at New Haven. "We are operating under their established protocols." The research station and everyone aboard it ceased to exist in a flash of nuclear fire that could be detected across half the system. Admiral Thekvar watched his territory being systematically dismantled by an enemy force so large that his tactical computers could not calculate accurate odds of victory. Reports flooded in from across Zephyrian space. Every military installation was being destroyed. Every government facility was being eliminated. The humans were not trying to capture territory or force surrender. They were methodically erasing the Zephyrian civilization's ability to threaten anyone ever again. "Sir, we're receiving communications from the Altarian Federation and the Rigel Confederacy," his communications officer reported. They're offering to mediate a ceasefire between us and the humans. Admiral Tekvar studied the tactical displays showing the human fleet movements. 700,000 ships moving through his territory like a force of nature, destroying everything that might pose a future threat to human colonies. "Send our response to the mediators," he ordered. "Tell them we accept any terms the humans are willing to offer. Complete surrender, reparations, territorial concessions, anything they want." The response came back within hours. The humans were not interested in surrender terms, reparations, or territorial concessions. They had not come to negotiate. They had come to ensure that the Zephyrian collective would never again possess the ability to threaten human civilians. The message was delivered by Admiral Knight himself, broadcast on all frequencies throughout Zephyrian space. "People of the Zephyrian collective, your government chose to make war on innocent human families. Your military murdered 2.3 million civilians without warning or mercy. You have demonstrated your true nature, and we have responded accordingly. We are not here to conquer your territory or enslave your people. We are here to eliminate your ability to threaten human lives ever again." The systematic destruction of Zephyrian military power continued without pause. 17 star systems, hundreds of worlds, thousands of installations, all of them marked for elimination by a species that had finally revealed its true nature to the galaxy.